Hello, this is Kathy Schreckenthaler of Kathy's Creative Impressions, and I'm here tonight to do my monthly live. We have our Fun Fold Florals Cards to Go class, and here on the lovely one of the kits that was recently available had a trio of these pretty little easels, so I am using those to display my cards at my in-person card classes, and we are going to start with this card tonight from our kits. So it's a little bit early. Hi, Linda. Comment, tell me you're here and where you're watching from. I'm kind of going to have to watch on my phone tonight, I think, because I've been seeing in some of my Facebook Stampin' Up groups that live is not showing up on the computer, and I am having that and that the comments are not showing very quickly. So if I don't respond tonight to comments, I will go through the entire video afterwards and make sure that I respond to them. But looks like we're live so far. And in the directions that I sent out, yeah, they're on my printer downstairs. I forgot to pick them up. Got distracted again. But I did send out measurements and like what you'll need for most of the cards. It looks like I forgot that for card number 4. So one thing I know that we will be using that I didn't put on there is the trimmer. We have a couple of pieces in your kits that we are going to need to trim. So please grab your trimmer if you're going to be crafting along. I'm not even sure if anybody received their packets on time, because I got them out in the mail a day later than I wanted to. So I'm kind of curious. Please let me know if you got yours in the mail or not. And after you get back from grabbing your trimmer, if you don't have that available, I always have my Stampin' Snips. We are going to be having a Snips come back shortly. I've got my my green glue with my glue holder there, and I also am going to be using the bone folder tonight. So make sure you grab something you can burnish those score lines with. Let's see. Let me know if there is anything else. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be kind of cut off. Hi, Patty. Good to see you. Make a little comment there so I know that you're watching. I was saying my comments are not showing up on my computer. I am aware that this is another new thing with Facebook people were warning me of. So if I don't see your comment right away, or if I don't answer, please put any questions you have in the comments, and I will go through everything later and make sure that I answer things. So it's going to be possibly, hi Patty, thanks for saying hello, possibly a little less interactive than sometimes, but I'm watching comments on my phone and hope to be able to answer them. So let's see, we've got 5:58. We're still a little bit early. Our first card is going to look like this. So we're going to start with, make sure you have a trimmer available, your snips, your adhesives, and I think I did mention one of, in the what you'll need, that you'll need a bone folder. That's kind of one of those things we always have to burnish the score lines. I've got my Stampin' Seal here. I've got my green glue, my liquid glue, and our first packet that we're going to start with looks like this. So this one is using the Lovely and Beautiful suite. You can see I used lots of this pretty paper. It's a specialty paper with shiny gold foil accents. And this one is on the last chance list. So grab it while you can if you really like the 2 cards that we are making with it tonight. This part of the suite is on last chance also with these beautiful blooms, and we are going to, you have a number of these. I think 3 different cards are using things from this Stampin' Die set, and then this part of the suite is not on the last chance list. And that is the one with these beautiful nesting dies, and we're using those. They make really cool labels of all different 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sizes. And this is sticking around. This one did not retire. I think these are great for memory keeping if you do scrapbooking, because they're nice large sentiments. And I still plan to do some other cards and play around with this set a little bit. I've got these mounted up because I want to do some watercoloring and try coloring some of these pretty blooms with my water painters. So I'm not even finished with this beautiful set yet. I do have my Fresh Freesia and my Flirty Flamingo stamp pads. So Coral, Calypso Coral would work also. It's a little darker, but very close to the Flirty Flamingo. Highland Heather would maybe work too, or Old Olive if you don't have one of these for stamping the sentiments. I also, in a sample with my in-person class, I did use the gold embossing powder and heat set my sentiment. Now this does have some beautiful wedding sentiments, but you certainly don't have to use this card as a wedding card. There's a thinking of you, and of course this could even be a beautiful card for a spring birthday. So yeah, I think if you're ready, Linda is also on. Hi Linda, hi Patty, so glad you could join me tonight. So I was just talking about this beautiful suite we're going to be using for 2 of our projects tonight, and the fact that this is on the last chance and this is sticking around so far. So this is where I took all of your supplies from, the Lovely and Beautiful specialty paper and set. And then I had to do a little ad-libbing because we're using the beautifully adorned ephemera pack for the pretty gold blossoms that you saw on this card, but I didn't have enough for all of my classes, and so I had used some gold foil and cut out some blooms of my own from, I think, the Pretty Florals set, which is, I believe, on the last chance list or already retired. And so I used this one because I thought it was kind of similar, but I noticed that now it's back in stock. So if you do like these pretty florals and labels that I've used for your cards this month, and then some cards that I've shown in the past, you can grab these. They're on last chance, but they are back in stock. So that is the Beautifully Adorned Ephemera Pack, and it's number 166980. 166980. Was out of stock, so I couldn't reorder to put enough blooms in everybody's kits, but now I noticed it's suddenly back in stock. All right, so we are going to get started. If you have your kits, by the way, can you let me know if yours came in the mail? I just am quite embarrassed that they were a day later than I wanted them to be this time. But I am messing with my light. I'm sorry. I am hoping that they got there in time, or will be there very soon, and you can just relax tonight and watch the replay maybe if they didn't arrive yet. So instead of the gold embossing, because the heat embosser makes so much noise on video, I'm going to go with my Fresh Freesia stamp pad, and I'm going to get my green glue ready to go, and then I'm going to take all the elements out of this envelope. Let me know if you are ready for me to continue. Also, we are going to be using, I think these are in your set, the Pearlized Faceted Circles. And they came in 3 different shades and 2 sizes that coordinate with this pretty paper. So, and in my set, I used a different bloom than the one I just showed you. This is actually from the part of the set that's retiring, and I thought that would work too. And then this is one of the foliage pieces from the ephemera pack. So I adapted a little bit. I tried to get as close to my original idea for you guys as I could, and I think I'm the odd duck out using this particular bloom, but that's okay. So this is a diagonal joy fold card. So what I did is cut the paper, the cardstock, in half. So it's 5.5 by 8.5. And then what I did is I cut from and I scored it at 4 1/4. And then I scored, I folded it on that score line. And then what I did is I put it in my trimmer. Bring that over to show you. Thanks for letting me know, Linda. I know it's sometimes more fun to watch and interact and then craft later when you can stop it when you need to and fast forward when you want to. So thanks for telling me no worries, even though they didn't arrive yet. I will do better in the future. Like I said, I am embarrassed. So what I did is I lined up that center score line with my cutting, and then the bottom corner. And I just cut off that triangle. And I will probably be designing a crisscross card where I can use that other piece. Let me grab those. Another fun fold card is a pocket card, and so I could easily have made a second card tonight where one piece of DSP would be on this side, and then I could flip this one over and glue it on the front with a second pattern here. And then what you do is you just glue this just on the outer edge and the bottom, and then you can slip a piece of paper in there and put a little ribbon on it to pull it out, and then you make a crisscross pocket card. So there's my other piece of DSP here. All right, so I would usually use 2 two patterns, but this is this side. So, but it would look like this. I would just cut the DSP to the other direction for the second half. But isn't that a fun card too? If you can imagine this being fitting correctly with a little pull-out section in the inside. So we are actually going to do it like this. So I wanted to show you how I concocted this one, and then we can start gluing. So I'll move my trimmer out of the way again, bring my glue in, and I'm going to take the Fresh Freesia little tiny blossoms pattern, put some glue on that, and adhere that to the front. And then I'm going to take this other pretty one. This is the specialty side. It's got that pretty gold foil. And I'm going to put that on the right side. About a 1/16 of an inch, or maybe an 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And look at that. Doesn't that work nicely? Then in your envelope, you've got a piece of white. Now this isn't actually going to be stamped or written on, so it could have been a third pattern, or I could have used a whole sheet here. But this card was part of the Connect and Create virtual retreat I did. Gosh, maybe it was a couple months ago now. And the person, who, Patty Bennett, I think, is the person who did all the projects with this pretty suite. And she had used white here, so I was kind of following along. And then later I was thinking, you know, this could be a whole piece, because we are going to take this die cut, and that's how we are creating the joy fold. We're going to glue this here, and then this will fold in and this will fold over it. Okay, so this is called a joy fold card, when one folds one way and the other folds the other way, and they kind of overlap each other. So before I glue this down, I am going to stamp the insert and put that here. And then I'm going to stamp and decorate the front by building my pretty little blooms and foliage. Okay, so this is a little bit putzier. I am going to do, let's see, where did I put the stamp set? I think I'm going to do this one as a Holding You in My Heart. I've got the Happy Couple Wedding Wishes one, so I'm going to just do this one a little bit different. Let's see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, I can do the Holding You in My Heart. Yep, I think that'll fit. So I'm going to stamp that first, and then on the inside, or I could do the Thinking of You on the outside and the Holding You in My Heart on the inside. Can you guys give me your opinion? Which one would you put on the outside? Thinking of You or Holding You in My Heart? Let's see if you can give me your opinion. I'll see if there's a consensus. And I'm going to bring my Fresh Freesia in here. I think it would be fine either way. while you are thinking about that and the comments maybe are catching up, I will start gluing my flowers together. I'm so disappointed that my computer doesn't seem to be showing my event tonight. Once I've, let's see if I can get it. Once I've gone live, it's always popped up on my computer, and it's just not doing that tonight, but I can see your comments. All right, so Patty is thinking of you on the outside and the holding you in my heart. And if we've got anybody else on that has an opinion, if you want to weigh in. Linda Lace says, thinking of you on the outside too. Hey, we've got a consensus. We've got 2 opinions. So I'm going to go with that. Thank you for your input, ladies. All right, so I'm going to ink up on my firm foam pad my fresh freesia, and I'm going to put it a little bit closer to the top because I'm looking for I moved around some stuff on my desk. I'm looking for my stamping mist to clean that stamp right away. It is purple, pink, red, orange, all of those colors do stain a little bit. I'm going to put that right here on my glass surface for a moment, and then I'm going to try to figure out where my thinking of, or holding you in my heart suddenly disappeared too. This is how I lose things. I put this on my desk, boom, it picked up that photopolymer stamp. I have gone hours and hours and hours searching for things that have stuck to the back of something like that. Have you ever had that happen? I'm sure none of you have ever lost anything in your craft room, right? Oy, oy, oy. It can be so frustrating. All right, because this is a little bit bigger, I think I'm gonna kind of put it in the center, and I can write a little bit here, and if I want to, I could add a panel here if I want on the back of the card. If I wanted to write, you know, a longer message to a friend that I'm holding in my heart and hoping that times get better for them or they heal. So this will be a nice card to have in my stash. Say hello if you are dropping in tonight, whether you're crafting along or just checking it out. I love to know who's watching and where you are from. So please just say hello if you are dropping in. And holding you in my heart. Okay, so now I am going to pop these right back where they belong so that I don't end up losing them again. Shoo, that was a close one. I kind of thought it through and found it right away. I do like to kind of stay a little bit organized as I craft, because otherwise it ends up being absolute utter chaos, and then I can't find anything. And that's how I lose things. I managed to lose one pretty wheat die out of one of my fall sets that I have a feeling ended up in the trash while I was die cutting zillions of them out. All right, so I am going to close my stamp pad for a moment. I'm going to take this pretty message for the inside and attach that right away as long as I've got it all stamped. And then I'm going to kind of try to center that in there. All right, and I wonder if you figured out how I cut this out. I've got those dies right here. So I used the second largest and third largest of the dies. And the second largest one cut this one out. And all I did was move the paper over so that it did not cut all of the right side. And so then that didn't cut, it's folded in half. So I gave you the measurements for this piece of paper, cardstock, and then I said to score it in half and then offset this, oops, that's the smaller one for the inside, on your paper so that this cutting edge is not on the paper. And that's how you get a card that opens. And if you wanted it to open the other way, this way, you would offset it on the other side. But because we're doing a joy fold with this diagonal, we wanted it to be closed on this side so it would open. This one has the seam on the left side, and this one needs the seam on the right side to be a joy fold. All right, so now I'm going to open this up. I think before I glue that down, I'm going to just be, and of course this is the smaller one. The next smaller nesting die is what made our white insert there. Okay. So finish a thought, Kathy. It's always nice when you actually finish what you're thinking about before you move on. All right, so before I glue that down, I'm going to do my florals here so that if I really mess up bad for some reason, I would have to start this whole thing over. And once it's glued down, of course, that is not really an option. All right, so I'm going to put together these two die cut images. Just adds a little depth, makes that bloom look kind of fun. And then I'm going to build this one. This is the smallest of the flowers in the Simply Beautiful bundle. And maybe about there. And then I'm going to put this one on top. Gotta figure out how it goes. It looks like a pansy, where the other ones to me look a little bit more like, oh gosh, hibiscus. You know, they grow in such pretty shades in pots on patios. Hibiscus are so pretty. And I'm just going to, maybe I'll move that one over there and tuck this one in here. All right, kind of just creating as I go here. Yours probably will be slightly different. You won't have to glue the parts together if I just gave you the bloom that was from the ephemera pack. But as I say, I ran a little short on those and then I had to be creative. So, but I think I'm the only one that had a 2-piecer or a 3-piecer. And then this is another one of the dies in the set. It's supposed to look like the stamen in the middle of the pretty flower. I'm gonna put the top on my little, you know, I think I've mentioned quite a few times before, I got like a 12-pack of these little bottles on Amazon, and I put my green glue in them because I like that really fine tip, but they do plug up, so every once in a while I have to do surgery on it. With my little, what I do is I take the paper off a twist tie and then I can, when I leave it open too long and it gets clogged up, I can just stick this in there and kind of plunge up and down, and then take a piece of paper towel and wipe that off. And then it gets the glue flowing again. A couple times I've had them so plugged up I couldn't even get that little wire in there, and I had to soak them to loosen up the glue, but I love having the precision of that fine tip. All right, thinking of you, the pretty greenery. Now we're ready to adhere it. See how much thicker the line is from that applicator is just not fine enough for those little detailed pieces. All right, so I have the card open, and I'm going to center this left to right and top to bottom. And once again, this didn't need to be white because we're not writing on it or anything. We're basically just covering it up. So you could have used a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of DSP. That was all the same here. And then when you open this up, you fold this in. Use my bone folder to smooth that down. And then I think that is pretty as it is. Now the one I sent some of you covers a little bit more. This looks a little bit plain. So I'm not sure that in this card, whether I gave you the gems or not, but I feel like this one could really use them. So I'm gonna pull out these pretty sparkly gems, and we're gonna use all 3 colors, I think. Let's see. How about that? Just to liven it up a little bit. That adds something, doesn't it? And now you've got a sweet card to send to somebody that says, thinking of you, holding you in my heart. And, you know, I think I would put another white panel on the back here, and maybe even use a couple of these pretty stamps, like this one, or maybe a little teeny strip of DSP on the back to brighten this up, and then write a lengthier note for this type of card. I just think that's so sweet. And that is my Diagonal Joyful card. What do you guys think? Have you done one of these before? Or is that a new fold for you? Simply Beautiful is the main bundle that I used. And again, here is another version of that card. And then here is yet another one. I stamped the envelope with these sweet little stamps here. This is the one I did. So here you can see that I embossed gold foil on vellum for the card I did here in my in-person class, and then at least one of you in your kit will have this gold foil cut out because I ran short of these. And that's what it might look like. And then I used a couple of the pretty gems, and this one says, "It's your day, let's celebrate." That's from the Simply Said set, and I think that this Simply Said set is also on the last chance list, because with new catalogs, a lot of things do tend to retire. Here is another example with a different shape. This is one of the Notes of Nature, Textures of Nature dies, and again I just offset it on this side. That's why there's no stitching here. So I put the edge of the die off so that this would be like a fold instead of a cut. And so that would be, you could stamp and decorate on a different shape if you don't have these nested dies in your collection. All right, hopefully that gives you a few ideas. Linda says, you have not done a card like this. Good. Well, hopefully I gave you enough tips to use after you make the one in your kits for your cards to go. Try it again with some other supplies, and I would absolutely love to see anything that you create based on the ideas here. And I always love it if you post on my Kathy's Creative Impressions page and share the cards that we make here. Always something I love to see, because everybody does something a little bit different, and the cards turn out slightly different than mine, and I love seeing that. So please post your creations. All right, our next, I packaged two other cards in the middle here, but I think we're going to jump to the other card that uses this suite. And so it is a tri-fold card, and it has a bazillion pieces in it. This is one of those that as I was creating it for cards to go, I was thinking, what was I thinking? Because, yeah, it's another card that Patty Bennett designed, and I modified a little bit from that class, that virtual class that I took. And so this bloom was 3 cuts, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other ones for the leaves, and that's just one of the trifold pieces. You've got some more. So again, I did a whole flower for, I believe, all your kits, but I thought, you know what? I can use this one that's most of a flower. So I saved that one for myself. We're going to do a little fussy cutting with that. And then we're going to add it to one of the panels that's got a little ribbon and a little strip of DSP for the side. So this is one. This is the front. This is going to be the inside. And it has a little strip that we are going to glue on the edges to make a gift card enclosure. And then this one is just going to decorate the inside. And maybe that one's going to decorate right here. And then this is the front. So, and this one is going to decorate the inside. So to start with, we're going to start on the front. You will need your large bloom that has to be fussy cut, these leaf parts, this strip, this ribbon, and the petal pink piece, and then this we're going to stamp the greeting on. Okay, so I am going to close these parts up. Now, when Patty made this card for the virtual class, she used actually 2 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 cards, and then glued them together in the middle here. So this is basically 1 full sheet of thick white cardstock, and cut in half, and then scored at 4 1/4. And then instead of making 2 cards with it, here you can see the seam. 1 card was glued to the other card, and that makes a trifold card. But I was thinking, now they have the willow white in 12 by 12, and I had still quite a few 12 by 12 large sheets of white, basic white. And so this card measures, when it's closed, it only measures 4 instead of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I was still able to get 2 cards out of one 12 by 12 sheet of cardstock. And it will fit in a regular size envelope. It'll just be a little narrower because it's 4 times 3 is 12 inches. So I modified it yet again a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start by gluing down this little strip of paper on that petal pink, which is, let me see what this one measures, 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. So this piece of cardstock is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to take this little strip of Designer Series paper from that pretty specialty pack, and I'm just going to adhere it to the front of that piece. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal. And I'm just going to run some tape runner across the front to stick that ribbon right to the center. And then I'm going to turn it over and put some more Stampin' Seal to hold that ribbon on the back side. And then I'm going to adhere the whole thing down to the front. Oops, just sent all my pieces scurrying. All right, so we're just going to adhere that to the center. And I'm going to get my paper snips out. Gave myself 2 blooms. Let's see if these are identical. Nope, they're different. I was going to say I could layer one behind if I wanted it to look like, but I'm just going to use this one, and then I will just, yours should be, it shouldn't be cut off here, but I figured I could just kind of cover that up. All right, looking for my snips, and what I'm going to do is just cut around that bloom. I don't know if you hate fussy cutting or find it soothing. There is definitely both camps. I'm somewhere in between. I don't mind terribly doing it, but I don't exactly, a lot of people will just sit and watch TV and cut out a whole sheet of things and just find it kind of soothing. I'm that way with coloring. I find it super relaxing. But I have been taught with fussy cutting, you keep your snips in the same place and you move the paper. So that seems to get a smoother result. So I'm turning my paper while my cutting hand is kind of staying in the same place. Hi, Kathy Walton from Colorado Mountains, first-time watcher. That is so exciting. Hey, Kathy, we are making 6 projects tonight, and we are on our second one. That's using the Simply Beautiful, the Lovely and Beautiful set. And so thank you for joining me and checking in. It is just lovely to have a new watcher. And here's the first card we made. It was a Joyfold card. So we are moving on to our second one with a tri-fold gift card holder. And both these cards were designed by Patty Bennett. And I learned how to make them from the Connect and Create, which is a whole group of demonstrators from across the world, different continents, who have been so kind as to create tutorials and projects that they are giving us permission to share. So my glue is getting goopy, so I'm using my little piece of wire to see if I can get it unstuck again, and it doesn't seem like it wants to cooperate. This is why a lot of people don't use these little things, even if I've given them to them, because let's see if I can, oh, this one's running. This one's flowing. I'll just grab another one. So awesome. All right, so I am just putting a little bit of glue. Actually, I think I grabbed this from the pile we're going to use on the inside of the card. I don't even want to be using that one right now. All right, so we fussy cut this. And I'm going to put that one I was just messing with to the side and put this extra one to the side. This is what I want, these pretty leaves. And I just need to decide, maybe the bigger ones on the top. Yeah. And we are going to stamp a sentiment. See, you won't even be able to tell when I adhere that sentiment that I used an edge piece and it's not even a full flower. You just can't even tell. Those are those little tricks you need, right? Just use up as much as you can. All right, so I'm trying to kind of gauge where I want my floral pieces. Oh, this one is working way better. I'll have to ungunk my blue, my blue one a little later on. Okay, I am going to, I glued that down, but I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Dimensionals and pop up this pretty bloom. So I used the two whole sheets of paper to cut these out of. Sent those your way. Had a class here with a few ladies, and so my pretty blooms are all used up when we conclude with this, but that's okay because we all have too much designer series paper stashed away, right? And wonder how to use it all. So that is one of my favorite things about having classes and sharing with you is I feel like I really use my my supplies. I really get the best use out of them. All right. So I am going to I think I'm going to make this another wedding card, but you could do happy birthday on here. I love the wedding wishes, and I noticed it's longer than I want. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can use you got kits most months. Oh, Kathy. Oh, Linda, thank you for the recommendation. You're being so sweet. Wow. All right. Thank you. You are amazing. That is what has kept me in Stampin' Up for 13 plus years now is the people that I have met and the relationships I've made, and how people like Linda, who are demonstrators themselves, support each other. I just appreciate all of you so much. All right, so I am going to, can you see what I'm doing here? I only inked up part of the sentiment, and I'm going to put the wedding here. And then I'm going to clean that off, bring in this is a very old broken. It's just easier when I'm stamping by myself. When I have my classes, I bring in my really pretty Plush Stampin' Scrub, which, by the way, I don't know if you've heard, is on the last chance list. I cannot believe they're retiring that. I use my Stampin' Simply Chamois, keep that in an old case, and these are great for, like, when this gets a little bit dirty and I'm not quite ready to rinse it, I do my final clean with my Stampin' Chamois, which I've had that one since that thing first came out. That's the original, like, as soon as you could get it, I got that one, and I'm still using it. I have a bunch of others too, though, that I cut in little pieces. Okay, so now I am stamping the second piece. See how that works? The second part of that sentiment. Bringing my Stampin' Scrub back in. Since it's a pink or orange, I'm going to clean it one final time to get as little staining as possible. I do like to, when things retire, I will like to use current products so that the things I make are things people can order the supplies for and make themselves. And so do resell a lot of my sets, and so I try to keep them as clean as possible so that people appreciate that when they're giving them some more loving later on. Okay, so I'm going to close that stamp pad right away because we have our sentiments stamped, and I did have a little accident when the ladies were here. One stamp pad didn't get closed, and sure enough, 2 projects, a card and something else on the table ended up, and it was Poppy Parade, a brand new Poppy Parade, and boy, was that a mess. It was the Poppy Parade ink pad, and it was a brand new one because mine went really bad, and so I think that's the first stamp set in 13 years, ink pad, that I actually, why did I put that? I want these both towards the bottom because I popped this up and I kind of don't want this popped up even further. All right, so I'm going to put Wedding Wishes there. I'm going to add a couple of those pretty gems if I dig those out again. Okay. Aww. Linda is a amazing sweetheart. You are right. So Kathy, are you a friend of Linda's? Have you worked with her in the past? I'd love to know how we all met or how you found me. I really appreciate you dropping in. All right, there we go. Isn't that kind of a pretty? We've got the gold foil. We've got these pretty gems. Not too complicated, just fussy cut one of the big blooms. Now we're going to open it up. And I almost, oh, that's great that you and Linda are friends. I hate gluing this beautiful piece of DSP down, but we're going to use this pattern. And then this pretty little piece on this side. So let's give this a shot. Whee! All right. I noticed I didn't put the top on my glue bottle. I'm going to have another one gunked up. Takes that extra split second, but it keeps the glue flowing. Try to keep the top on. All right, so we're going to glue that down, and then I'm going to try to be really light-handed on the glue on this piece, and I only want to put it on the outside edges because I want to be able to slip a gift card in here. Okay, so I'm going to put just a little glue as close to the edge as I can. Put that down right at the edge of that 3 3/4 by 5 1/4 inch Coral Calypso piece. And I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. And then boy, I thought I had a gift card size piece. I had a card. On my desk. No, I'm not finding it. So I could show you how that slides right in there. Nope, not finding it at the moment. Oh, thought I either put it right on my desk or had it in the box, but I am definitely not finding it at the moment. So we will move on. But anyway, yeah, a gift card will slide in there. And then we're going to put this pretty one here. So when they open up the wedding wishes, they see this pretty inside. And then if you don't want to make it a gift card holder, you just leave this piece off. It would still be a beautiful wedding card without the gift card in it. But it seems like, I don't know, at least for me, I'm given a lot of like Visa cards or cash for weddings these days, because if I go to the shower, I usually tend to get them something off of their registration. But by the time the wedding comes around, who can't use cash for, you know, either their, oh, I didn't get that on super straight, for their honeymoon or things that didn't get picked off of their list. So gift card holder is great for a wedding card. All right, so on the inside, I am going to stamp to the happy couple with that same flirty flamingo. Oh, Kathy, this would be a beautiful sympathy card. I totally agree. And I have needed more of those than wedding cards. That is for sure. As of late. Hate to say it, but you're right. So I just thought I'd use this because it's the sentiments that came with this beautiful suite, but I always save sympathy sets, especially if I really like the font or the sayings, because you do end up needing those so much. And you could tuck a check in there. If it was a sympathy card, you might still want it to be like a little gift card holder. All right, last but not least, we are going to assemble this pretty bloom from those beautiful dies that are now on the last chance list. And I thought that was kind of the final. I think I did it a little bit different than Patty Bennett, who created the tutorial for the class, but I did what worked with me, what worked for me. She had a flip flap, which is used for scrapbooking. The Close to My Heart flip flaps were adopted by Stampin' Up! When they merged. And I didn't have the size that she used, so I ended up designing this gift card holder on the side instead of using the flip flap that lifted in the middle. So there is another, if you are a demonstrator, there is another Connect and Create that the registration just opened up for. I'm talking as I do this off camera. I'm so sorry. So I put glue on the back of this one, and I'm gluing it to the largest die cut from that set, that it just gives it a nice base to glue everything onto. And then I'm going to take this beautiful spray of like stamen and put that in the middle of those three other pieces to make this pretty. This reminds me, like I said, of a hibiscus that come in so many pretty colors, and I have been fortunate enough to grow some in pots on my patio in the past, but not recently because when we moved here 3 years ago, I had to give all my big plants away because you know how the semi trucks won't take your plants and your chemicals. So, like I said, these extra dies, I could leave that middle part out. They just kind of give more dimension to the leaves. So I'm just putting a little dab here and there on the backs. And gluing those to the front. On the front, for the cards we made in person, I had them stamp those leaves on the DSP, but of course when it's cards to go, not everybody has the stamp set, and I can't send stamped images in the mail. So I always adapt and do more die cuts, or I just decided they were going to be just fine. Just die cut with that pretty patterned paper. Do you think that turned out okay without stamping those leaves? Hopefully you like them. All right, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put it a little further down. And I'm going to tuck one more leaf, maybe on this side. There, kind of a little balance, kind of the opposite of this one. So now we have our tri-fold gift card holder. Could be a wedding, as this one is. Could be sympathy, could be birthday. If you want it to be a gift card holder, this is like a 1.5 inch strip of DSP, and I just used like one of the smaller circle punches to cut a little notch out, and then you can just slide that gift card in there, and used pretty pattern paper on this side, stamped it on the inside, and then put this pretty bloom. And you could put another stamp or smaller bloom here if you wanted to make it even fancier, but I thought that was pretty elaborate. I like to use DSP with die cuts. Oh, thank you, Linda. Yeah, so that worked for me because it has a little depth because of the pattern on it, and it works. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kathy. I'm glad you liked that one. So here is the one we just made, and here is the one I made earlier. Like I said, it is 1/4 inch bigger. It's 2 cards, 2 5.5 by 8.5 cards glued together in the middle. And I did put that extra little bloom here. I did put another piece of pattern paper behind this bloom, but I didn't have another pack. This is the same, it's the back side of, we already used it here. I just didn't have enough. And I thought that was pretty. It didn't really have to have the background. So again, I adapted so that I could get everybody their kits. There we go. All right, so that is our second project with the Lovely and Beautiful set. Like I said, it will fit in a standard A2 envelope, even though it's slightly more narrow. I don't know if anybody would really notice. And that way I could use my 12 by 12 cardstock, and it didn't need to be thick because you've got so many layers in there anyway, so I thought it was almost better for mailing if it wasn't too thick whisper white cards glued together. All right, just giving you a few of my thoughts, and we are going to move on from this gorgeous, lovely and beautiful set to the equally as beautiful Garden Paradise suite. I'm putting things back where they go as I shuffle this off. All right, so now we have 2 more cards from a second suite. Oops. And here's my box of goodies. So the bundle is called Paradise Garden. And we are going to start with this cute little book fold card. Again, I have it on one of those standing easels that come in a trio kit. If you go on the kits part of the website. And I just absolutely love 2 things about this suite. One is these beautiful sentiments. I love the font. Wishing you a lovely day. You make the world a better place. Thank you. You are appreciated. And these pretty floral blossoms. In the in-person class, we had made this version, which used 2, we stamped these pretty blooms twice. If you don't have the Paradise Garden, then you can do what I did, and that is die cut some of these leaves and shapes. And so instead of stamping the blooms, we're going to do a little die cutting, and I used vellum and the specialty foil that comes in this. The second thing I love about this set is this gorgeous ombre designer series paper that came in an absolute rainbow of colors. So we've got red, orange, yellow, blue. The green is shaded spruce, so it's all those jewel tones, all the really regal, rich colors, and then ending in the Berry Burst and Blackberry Bliss. So I made cards out of all of these pretty colors. And so you may have gotten a green version, a blue version, a red version, yellow and orange. And between the 2 cards, I tried to make sure you didn't get the same color for both cards. So we are going to start with the book fold card. And I have lots of other cards I made with this that weren't included in your kit. And then here is the Garden Textures specialty foil. So it is a really pretty thick foil. You got 2 each of 3 different colors, and it's got a texture on it that you can see there. Sorry about my lighting, but so you can see that I die cut your shapes out, since I couldn't assume that you had the stamp set, and I can't send stamped images. So let's pull out, we're going to start with the envelope that has a 5.5 inch by 11 inch piece of cardstock. And I messed up on cutting this. Instead of cutting it in half at 4 1/4, I cut it at 5 1/2 and ruined it. But it's my card. So I decided I was going to make this work, that you would barely notice that cut if I made one small change. So you should have, oops, did all those little pieces go? All right, you should have a piece of DSP. Now these don't match, but that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4, I believe. And so this is one of the things you needed your trimmer for. Mine is already trimmed. You'll have a piece of paper that looks like this, possibly, where yours is not cut. And so mine is scraps that I had, I think, after I got all of yours together, and mine's already cut. What I like to do is cut it and turn one side over, so we're seeing both sides of that pretty paper. I'm going to get my trimmer here. Pull that out. And what we're going to do is we want to cut the left side off. I'm actually going to turn it this way because we're going to use the back side of this. So I want this side with the 2 different colors showing. So you can decide which side is up on yours. I think it's kind of a multi-directional pattern where it doesn't have to be one way or the other. And I'm going to put it in my trimmer at 1 inch. And I'm just going to cut off 1 inch on the left side of this pretty piece of paper. Okay. And then what you have left is the floral side. The busier side is going to be in the bigger spot. Okay, and what I'm doing is, you don't have a cardstock mat, but that's how I am making this work to cover up my boo-boo of slicing that piece. Obviously, it's just a half a sheet of cardstock, and I could have just cut a new one. But I decided to make the most of it instead, and I'm going to see if I'm happy with it or not. If not, I just won't send it to anybody. All right, so I'm gluing that on the right side down to my piece of cardstock that you don't have. So now this measures 4 by 4 after we cut the 1 inch off of it. So this was actually 4 inches by 5 inches piece of DSP to start with, which is hopefully what I put in your direction sheet that I sent out last night. Hopefully you find those useful. Let me know. Oh, Linda, you're so sweet. That trifold card was a bit of work, but I just like sharing fun folds with you guys, and you guys are worth it. So I am glad you enjoyed that, and hopefully you will use the directions to make some more trifold gift cards with your own supplies at home and give it your own little twist. All right, so you should have a, let's see how long this is. Oh, it's like a 14-inch piece of balmy blue gingham ribbon. This was actually from the Easter Joy suite, but I thought it went beautifully with this. So we are making a book fold card here. So the score line's at 1 1/4 inches from the center score. And we're going to end up gluing this down like a book spine, and it will open like a book. And then you have a piece of white. I don't think you have this little strip. I think I threw that in there because I cut it off to make my little adaptation here. But on the inside, you can put your greeting. And then we are going to be using the vellum die cut and this label. And bummer, I didn't put myself some pretty foil die cuts in here. I'm holding this up to the light and I'm not finding any. Well, about that, I cheated myself. I'm going to have to whip a couple of those dies through the die cutter. All right, getting distracted again. I'm going to take these off, and I am going to put a little Stampin' Seal on the inside here. This is the part that's going to get glued together, and I want to tack my ribbon down to that so that maybe I'll use some glue dots for this because I don't want that Stampin' Seal to show, but I do want to get a little adhesive here so that I can it's easier to tie, I find, if my ribbon's not slipping all over. So there's a little hint, is put a couple pieces of, couple little glue dots, or a little adhesive there, and then you can just knot. This is where I like to bring in the this lovely little tweezers. That's from the embossing set, because my fat fingers, it's getting harder and harder with my little bit of arthritis and stuff to do things like tie knots. And that thing is like having an extra finger. Isn't that awesome? Then you can take that off. Tie it one more time if you want. Isn't this DSP beautiful, Linda? Oh my gosh. I am such a brights and jewel tone girl that this paper, when I saw it, I think this is an online exclusive possibly. When I saw the Garden Poetry Suite, I snatched it right up because people call me the flower lady because I have so many flowers in my yard. And every time we move, my husband teases me because he tells all the neighbors, oh, don't worry, she'll have flowers in every corner of the yard before long. And he's not wrong. All right, so I'm going to bring in, now you could use something like the With You in Mind that is also on the last chance list. This is going to be retiring from the annual catalog as it winds down and the new catalog comes out in May. I hope you guys got your new catalogs and have your lists started. I'm going to use the thank you because thank you cards are something I can always use. You can see I did that poppy parade on those blooms, and it doesn't transfer once you clean it, but they do get a little bit stained. No biggie, right? It doesn't hurt anything. All right, so I am going to use the thank you. I like to send my customers thank you cards. I like to do thank yous for you ladies that have been so good about getting cards month after month doing my classes. You're so wonderful. And I am going to bring in, I think, all right, I need some help here again. Should I use the Shaded Spruce to kind of pick up on that little bit of background I used? I will do the Shaded Spruce foliage too. So this one is kind of what I'm going from. This was my sample I designed for class. I used the Blueberry Bushel, same background, the vellum, and that specialty foil. So I did blue here. Do you think I should do blue or green? I've got both of them here. Let me know in the comments. I love flowers. They just bring so much happiness to my life because, you know, winter is so long in Minnesota and Wisconsin that I love spring bulbs because they're the first color that you get after like 6 months of winter. All right, anybody have an opinion? Kathy says blue, and Kathy's new. She's coming for the first time, so I am going to give her what she wants. Thank you so much for weighing in. All right, so I'm going to do the thank you. Isn't that a pretty bold? I mean, I just love that font. It's just so pretty. All right, I'm looking. Let's piling up here and bring this back in. Spritz it, clean this right away, put it away so it doesn't get lost or stuck on something. All right, that blue cleans up pretty good. And I think on the inside then, I'm gonna go with that you are appreciated. I'm not sure I've used this one, so you'll notice I'm seasoning it a little bit. I'm just cleaning it on my already wet. See, I could open this and it could land right in here, and then this beautiful card would just be instantly messed up. So close those ink pads, close them, close them, close them. Okay, we're gonna put some dimensionals on the back of this, but not take the backing off quite yet. I know I want to pop that up. All right, and then I'm going in here. I still have to glue this together. Oh, can't see, I didn't want anything to land in it, but now I need it again right away. All right, we're going to do the you are appreciated. Not the best, but it'll do. Kind of got it too much ink on one side and smushed too hard. But I'm a bit of a perfectionist, sorry. All right, and then I think I'm going to tie the front in by putting a couple of these pretty little blooms on there. Well, Linda likes flowers. She says flowers are the best, so I'm just gonna put one in each corner. How's that? Okay. All right. And then this is going to be ready for in here. We're going to, I got to close up that ink pad again. We're going to put a little glue in the book fold part now that the ribbon's on. And we're going to, that's what makes it a book fold, is we're going to create the spine where the pages are glued in. Close up my stamp pad. Put my stamps back where they belong. I have a little blue on me here. Hopefully that doesn't rub off anywhere. All right, and then I can glue this pretty part in. So the label, Kathy, is right from the dies that they're part of the Paradise Garden bundle. That beautiful label is part of this bundle. And it also has a really pretty hexagon label I'll show you in just a second. All right, so I'm putting the You Are Appreciated there, and our thank you is going to get popped up on the front. And that label pretty much goes the whole 3 3/4 almost. Just a little bit sticking out. All right, let me find the dies. Okay, so this bundle, Paradise Garden, is in the online exclusives, and can't lose this. stick that back there for now. It does come with a hybrid embossing folder. The Paradise Garden Hybrid Embossing Folder makes the very coolest card fronts. Here is a very basic card I made using this embossing folder. And just super simple. I just took 2 strips of, this is the foil, the blue foil behind it, to see the shine on there. And I just took 2 strips longer than 4 1/4, and I stamped them and glued them to this embossed piece, and then I just turned it over and trimmed them off right here, and then I just put it on a white card front. So thinking of you, look, that one got in an ink pad, and then when you open it up, I put the wishing you a lovely day. So thinking of you is from another upcoming set, the Blossom, the one that has all the in colors. I just did a little sneak peek video today, so if you look on my page, you can check that out. But this is a hybrid embossing folder, so this die fits in the folder and cuts out some of the leaves, so they pop. It doesn't cut the whole leaf out. It cuts out so that the leaves, I did not use it on this one, some of them will pop up from the card. And it has this label, this littler label for the You Are Appreciated, I bet would fit in there. And then this pretty hexagon label, which fits really well for the Wishing You a Lovely Day. So here's another book fold, but with stamps instead of die cuts. And in your package, you will have, I'm not going to take time to die cut it right now. You should have the vellum piece and then some of the greenery. And here's a slightly different fun fold. But I'm going to just do my vellum, and then know that those foil pieces in your kit, they can be layered over this piece and, you know, sticking out down here so that it looks something like this. Because again, I can't ship stamped images, so I shipped you some pretty foil die cuts and vellum, foil and vellum die cuts instead. So there we go. And then this one is a slightly different, instead of the score line here, it is the same size. It's a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece. And, oh, I just found my, remember I said I thought I had a gift card? Instead of scoring it over here and gluing it down, this one is scored at 1 1/4 inch towards this side, and then it's folded over to make a little gift card holder on this side. So that is another fun fold, and then I'm going to show you a third one in just a minute. But you can see what the die cuts should look like that are added. I have a few more on this one because I used a smaller label. And I used some of the pretty gems that come with this set. It's the Garden Epoxy Dots, and some of them have little flowers in the middle, and then some of them are just epoxy colored dots. So I should have included those in your set. And here is another of that one we didn't do. This one actually stamps on designer series paper. I die cut out 3 of the flowers, and instead of vellum, for this one I used the green foil for that larger foliage, and then I put 3 of the little flowers on it, and I put those epoxy dots for the centers of the flowers, and then I used that blue gingham ribbon and just layered it behind the label. And this one can also have a gift card. But look, I forgot to notch this one, but it doesn't really need it because it's sticking out far enough to grab it easily. There. And this one needs 2 1-inch strips. This would be 5 by 4 again, and then you cut one piece off and flip it, but then you need another inch over here if you want to decorate the inside. And this one I did, wishing you a lovely day, best wishes. So that's a couple ideas for gift card holders, a fun book fold, and a super easy card using the embossing folder. Hopefully you're just brimming with ideas. And then here is a look at if you used this side, the foliage side for the skinny strip and the watercolor back side for the bigger part. And I put a few gems on, but it's definitely a lot plainer, and I thought I preferred this version with a little more background. But if you do invest in the bundle, lots and lots of ideas of things you can do with this. Oops. And I didn't stamp the inside of this yet. I figured I could decide who it was going to and what I needed it for first. So, all right, we have one more card, a little variation. So if you want to get out your next envelope with this set. All right. This one is a slightly different fun fold. And you will need your trimmer for this one. So on this one, again, I cut mine, but I don't think yours is cut. I think yours is going to be all together still. Whoop. And then inside, you have ribbon again, and a card insert for writing on the inside, and then your decorations for the outside. So for this one, this is like a lift the flap card. So I'm going to take my card base and I'm going to turn my trimmer upside down from what I usually have it for this card, because what I want to do, burnish this with my bone folder first. What I want to do is split the front of this. Instead of where we scored the other one, I'm going to actually cut it. All right, so I'm going to turn my trimmer upside down because I want to cut from the bottom up to the fold at the 1 1/4 inch mark. So I'm going to look down here on my trimmer at 1 1/4, and then I am going to cut from the bottom up to the 4 1/4. And there is a little mark in the center of that blade, so you know when the blade has reached your score line. Let's see how I did. Perfect. All right, set my trimmer aside. And now we have a different kind of fold. So basically you have the same pieces. You've got an inside to stamp and write on. You've got an outside on the right side. That's a 4x4 piece. And then over here, you've got a 1" by 4" piece. And you've got some ribbon that you can use or not use, but it looked a little plain without something there. So what I am going to do, and the directions told you to do, is before we start, we're actually going to glue this piece down so it does not lift up. So we're just going to put a little glue on the inside and put that piece we cut. It's going to get glued right to the front, so only the right side is going to lift up. Okay, and then we're going to take this little strip here, and I think I'm going to use a glue dot again in the middle on the front. I'm going to put, boop, I'm going to stick that down so it stays where I want it, and then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal to adhere that ribbon to the back. Oops. All right. Just a little extra. Yeah, I think it just adds something to the front of the card. So now I can glue that down. You can use Stampin' Seal or your liquid glue. I'll put a little liquid glue on that ribbon too, so that sticks good to the front. And then just center it. And then we're going to take the other piece. Isn't that pretty on the back? Oh my gosh, I love the ombre rich colors and the watercolor look. It's like watercolor paper with watery bursts of color that just, this paper, I might have to order a whole nother set because well, I had quite a bit left, even though I made 2 cards for 2 different classes. All right, I always like to stamp before I glue down. But this is like a fun little lift the flap version. I just thought it was kind of another neat fun fold. So what could I say on this one? I don't want to do another thank you. Let's see. Got an idea. Some of my other new sets. Okay, so this was another online exclusive, or no, it's coming out in the new May catalog. It's called All Aflutter, and it has beautiful Thinking of You Today, or fluttering by to say hi would be nice. And then, you know, you could just pop a butterfly on it if you have a butterfly punch somewhere. But this comes with a trio of butterfly, a punch that cuts out all 3 of them. So here is a sweet little card I made that's just stamps, ink, and paper. Punched out 3 of those butterflies, and I used, you might recognize these cute little guys from the March product of the month. That was a sweet little set. So here's the fluttering by to say hi, and that would fit. Or maybe I'll do the Thinking of You Today and then do this on the inside. So I think I'll pull this set in. This was also another, if you have this one from the product of the month, I could do the Happy Birthday or Sending Love or You're on My Mind. I think all of those might fit. Yeah, I think they would squeeze on. This one sold out. I know that's not available anymore, but just options, just giving you, talking through some options if you don't have the garden poetry set yet. Notice I said yet because I know you're going to want to get it. I think I'm going to do the Thinking of You today because that's so pretty. All right, so I'm going to pull that in even though you might not have this set. Oh, here's something I decided to do when I got it. I took the thinner piece off and I inked them all up, I think with my Azure Afternoon, because I knew that was a pretty juicy stamp pad. And then I very carefully laid them down on this piece of paper, and I got my really big block out, you know, the one that's for like background stamps, and I pressed it down with that, and then I glued this is just a scrap piece of cardstock. I glued it to the inside because I just like seeing the stamps and knowing what's missing. So now, boom, there, I know where they're all supposed to go back, and I know what stamps I have in this set. I might do a little quick mini 5-minute video on that, how I did that. Hey, Patty, glad you popped back on. How do I find out about the kits? Kathy Walton says. Well, Kathy, if you follow this, my Stampin' Up page on Facebook is Kathy's Creative Impressions, and I think that's where you are because you're watching. I post my classes every month. I also send out a newsletter that has the descriptions of the classes and the sign-ups for the classes. So if you message me, Kathy's Creative Impressions, your email, I can certainly add you to my email list, and you will get my newsletters, and then you will always get the invites to sign up for my monthly classes. And oh my gosh, we would love to have you join us. All right, Thinking of You. Pull out a stamp block that fits. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty. And I'm going to grab my blueberry bushel again. Thank you for asking, Kathy. I can't wait till next month when you join us. So yeah, get on my newsletter, and always, if you like and follow this page, then you also will get notices and be able to rewatch these videos for 30 days too. And then I always save the videos and share the YouTube link to the videos in my next newsletter because Facebook's only saving them for 30 days. So I download them and upload them to my YouTube page so that people can find them for more than just 30 days. So, and I put all that stuff in my newsletter so it's as easy to find as possible. All right, put that back, and then we're gonna pop this up on dimensionals again. Boop, and boop. And then we're going to nestle in these pretty die cuts behind it. Okay, we're going to slide in. I'm just going to put a couple dabs of glue on the parts of the vellum that'll be hiding for the most part, because sometimes you can see the adhesive through the vellum, and I don't think that needs to be adhered down. I think it's just fine if the part behind the label is glued down and the rest is kind of floating. All right, I'm going to nuzzle that one in there, and definitely need one of those pretty little gems in the center of that. Now again, you know, if you were doing this with me in person, we would be stamping these, and then they're a little more detailed. They're a lot more solid, made out of this foil, but that's how we adapt to doing online classes. A lot of demonstrators do online classes where you really have to buy the bundle, so you have all the stamps and dies yourself. And my classes, I do the die cutting, and I tend to use more than one suite. We're using at least three different suites, maybe 4 this month. So thinking of you today, I think I'm going to leave that blank for right now, but I could certainly do fluttering by to say hi and stamp some of these pretty little butterflies. Gosh, I don't know. I guess I need to do that now that I said it out loud. Just because, again, I love this bundle because punches are just so quick, and I just think they're great, especially for people that don't have a ton of room to store stuff, or don't have a die cutting machine, which is a little bit bigger investment. So I like to use stamps and punches in my classes because sometimes people don't have all the extra equipment. Bring in an old grid paper to clean that off a little bit. Otherwise, so much ink goes on my scrub that it's going to be putting more ink on the stamp than taking it off. So I like to stamp off as many times as I can till most of the ink is off the stamp, and then clean it. Now it looks pretty clean. Yay, I love this new set. All right, so again, this one is going to be in the new catalog. If you're a demonstrator, you can get it now. And if you're a customer, I think May 5th is when the catalog goes live for customers to order. All right, fluttering by to say hi. And I can write a little message there, but you know, I already sent a pretty cool message. I might send this to my mama, who just loves to know I'm thinking of her and can't make cards very easily anymore. She's 85 now, and her hands are not working like she'd like them to, but she sure does appreciate it when I send her pretty cards and let her know I'm thinking of her. So this is the perfect card for her. All right, I'm going to pop these guys back in here. And now I got to use this pretty new set again too. All right, the last thing I would do is, if I can find those pretty gems again, hopefully I popped a couple of these in your packet, or you have maybe some pretty rhinestones in your collection or something that you could use. And I'm using the pink ones, which don't really go with anything else on the card, but that's okay, right? I think we need one over here too. All right, now we've got 1, 2, 3, right? All right, keep it simple. You're just letting somebody know you're thinking of them, and doesn't have to take 3 hours to create, right? Just enough detail to let them know it's a special handmade card just for them. Thinking of you today, fluttering by to say hi. Wow, how sweet is that? All right, so where is my other sample of this one? Whew. one in class with the, oh no, I did not make this with my in-person. They only got to make the one. So here is another super, super fun fold with this sweet. And this one used the Berry Burst and Blackberry Bliss and the Blueberry Bushel. And this is, I mentioned a new upcoming set. And it was in my unboxing video earlier today, so look for that on my page if you want to learn more about the blossom greetings. And look at that. Isn't that a pretty fold? So it's thank you for being there for me. You make the world a better place. You make the world a better place is from the Paradise Garden. And the outside greeting is from the brand new upcoming Double Sweet that uses all the in colors. And then I used the pretty gems and a little bit of the pretty shiny ribbon that comes with this sweet, this purple ribbon. It's sparkly. There you go. It's called Shiny Ribbon, and I think it's in Berry Burst. Came with that, and these scallop dies are in the new bundle. So just another cool idea that I thought I'd share. Wow, this is like a marathon because here's our card that we made. It could take a little more of that ribbon and tie a little knot in it, but I think it's okay the way it is. So many card ideas that we've already created tonight, and we have 2 more projects left. So, you know, if you need to, take a break and come watch the replay. But look at all these gorgeous cards so far that I have made with this suite. You can tell how much I love this suite. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different styles of cards. And then we've also got the different colors, and this uses the stamp set instead of the dies. So I think they're all equally gorgeous, whether you're using the pink and purple or the blue and green or the orange and red and yellow. Love, love, love it. It's called Garden Poetry Suite in the online exclusives part of my website. And then don't forget the All Aflutter, lovely little creation too. All right. We are going to move on to our last card, and it is a doozy. So for the last card, it is in a number 10. Now you got a pretty fancy cloud colored envelope, but this is just a regular number 10 business size envelope. And for this card, I used a tutorial by Tammy White, Stamp with Tammy, and I used a lot of my Painted Illusions Designer Series paper. This was this the 3rd time? December, January, February. So this was the February product of the month, and this is all I have left out of 12 sheets of DSP. And I didn't even have enough pieces left to do the very last card because they're pretty big pieces. So one of you lucky ladies got a card that's going to be made out of this beautiful floral impressions, which I have trouble cutting into because you can see why, since I'm the flower lady and it's got a rainbow of beautiful colors. But I did sacrifice a piece or two for one of the lucky recipients of my kits this month because we are going to make a slimline fun fold lapel card. It's going to look like, I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Look at that. It's like a little shirt card that's long and skinny. All right, and if you go on stampwithtammy.com, you can find, so she used a different suite. Here's the first one I made from her directions. I was able to print this off, and she showed what we're going to do here. So cutting and scoring the card base in your directions. I didn't have the measurements written on, but I did draw the basic card base for you, and then I found this part more confusing than anything else. How I will be showing you how we cut the designer series paper, and I think I cut one for you and left the other for you to cut, so you're going to need to grab your trimmer again. Take a little sip here, I'm talking too much. And we have two different patterns. Patterns vary, and like I said, I used up pretty much that whole thing of card pretty designer series paper. We are using this second smallest die from the Nested Essentials dies, and I was really glad to see that these dies did carry over to the new catalog, so they are sticking around for at least 4 more months. All right, so I should have that die cut in your kit. And then the antique pearls, I think, are also sticking around, and that would be a nice choice. I think that's what I put in your card kit. And then I pulled out a really old, this is before the labeling was black and white. It's an Easter set, but it does have, Because of You, I Am Me, Happy Mother's Day. All right, thanks, Linda. You tune back in when you get your card kits, and thank you so much. Great job. All right, so I'm going to continue on as people will be watching the replay, and you may be watching live now and can use what you have at home. But if you do sign up for a class and get the card kits, I do send tutorial information so that you can create these things with more supplies that you have at home. All right, so we have little die cuts. We have one little 1/2 inch by 8.5 inch strip that's going to be used towards the end. And then there's a label, there's extra labels. I'll show you what those are going to be for. There are the little antique, just 3 of the antique pearls. And then you've got some die cut, or some already cut or whole sheets of cardstock that are 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. So you will have 4 sheets. You'll need 4 sheets in 2 different patterns of 8 1/4 by 3 1/4. Did I just say? I think that's what it is. All right, I need to move my trimmer for a minute and sit down. I've been mostly standing so I could see your comments. Let me know if you are just dropping in and watching. If you don't have the kits, I can give you more information about how to get those in the future from Kathy's Creative Impressions. And many of you might be watching the replay and making your kits at a time that's better for you. And that's the beauty of getting the cards to go, because if you can't make the live, the recording is there for you. And like I say, I save it and upload it to my YouTube channel so that you can watch it later. All right, so two of the sheets I left to cut together. Most cases I cut the simple pattern and I saved the busier pattern because I didn't want it to be super confusing if all your pieces got mixed together. And then you will have a piece of white, which will be the insert for the inside. So we are going to decorate both the outside, 2/2, or 2/3, and the inside. So we have papers for the outside and for the insides. So before we get started, we're going to cut the last 2 pieces of paper. Okay. All right. Got everything out of my envelope. I'm holding it up to the light and I don't see anything else in there. All right, so I'm going to bring in my trimmer and grab a pencil. Turn my trimmer this way is the way I'm used to using it. I know some people use it just the opposite. And we all do what works for us, right? All right, I'm going to get a pencil and a ruler. A handy dandy clear ruler. That works really good for me. And we are going to need to mark on the left side of one of these sheets at 2 3/8. So we got 2 1/8, 2 2/8, 2 3/8. And I'm going to make a little pencil mark there. And then I am going to bring the other piece in and I'm going to actually put it under my ruler, stick him out just a little bit. And I'm going to mark the opposite side because this is going to go on the opposite side of the card at 2 1 2 3/8. All right, so we've got a tick mark on the left side and a tick mark on the right side. Now what we need to do is get the trimmer out and we are going to cut from the top right corner, the opposite corner of that tick mark, down to that tick mark. Okay, so we do that by putting this tip in the cutting, I don't know what, gutter, and that bottom tick mark. So we're going to go from there to there with the cutting blade. Okay, take that off and we're going to make one more cut on this piece. We're going to go from this tip down to the bottom tip. Okay, so we're going to start the same place and we're going to go all the way down to the bottom. Actually, my cutting blade is at the bottom, so I'm going to go from bottom to top. But then we've got the 3 pieces that we need. Okay, this is going to be the inside of my card, so they're going to fit here, here, oops, and here. All right, and to make, oops, the folds on the card base, I basically did the same thing. What I did is I got my pencil out and I marked, and this time it's 2 5/8 because that designer series paper is a little bit smaller than the full card base. So we marked this one at 2 3/8. This one's going to be marked at 2 3 5/8. This is 3 3/8. Oh boy. Doesn't look like All right, I'm just wondering if these are gonna fit, because I cut that one at 3 2/8, it looks like. All right, I have to admit this card is a little complicated, but it doesn't look like my card base is scored in the right places. It's supposed to be at 2 5/8, which is right here. And it looks like I'm all the way down at, or not 2 5/8, 3 5/8. Okay, so I'm going to get another piece. Of Lost Lagoon, and this measures 10.5 by 8.5. So you have to cut off a 1/2 inch. So 10.5. It's an 11-inch piece of cardstock. So this we're going to use for the belly band at the end. Okay, and then you need to score it at 3.5 and 7. So I'm going to get that cutting blade out of the way. 3.5. Oh, I'm going to need that for the 7. Or I can turn it over the other way. 3.5 from each side, so it works to just flip it over too. Okay, so you have a trifold card. And then I need to measure, we need to put a tick mark at 3 5/8. For some reason, the one that I scored is not in the right place. So it wasn't going to fit my 3 5/8. It was 3 3/8. All right, so now we're going to use our scoring blade, and we're going to go from that middle to that outside tick mark. So I'm going to line up that and my pencil mark. And I'm going to score. And then I'm going to go from that same center score line to the bottom corner. And then you're going to fold it back. So you're going to fold the one that goes all the way to the bottom. You're going to fold back. And then you're going to fold that little corner up there towards the center. See how it makes that lapel? And then you can just take your eraser and erase that little pencil mark. Okay, now I need to score on this side from the center to that 2 5/8. Make sure you're using your scoring blade and not your cutting blade. You don't want to cut off that little triangle. And then from that same score line to the bottom corner. Okay, once again, you're going to fold this to the middle. Fold the long score line back, and then the short score line to the middle. And then move my trimmer out of the way and get my bone folder so I can burnish all these score lines so it sits as flat as possible. All right, much better. Oh my God. So if I ruined yours, I'm really upset with myself. You may have to get a different piece of cardstock if I scored yours at 2 3/8 instead of 2 5/8. Or you could make a second score line from that center to 2 5/8 and just hope that when you put your, it's going to have designer series paper on both sides, so it's kind of going to hide it if you do have to rescore it, if you don't have a color cardstock that you like the way it looks with the cardstock I gave you. I hope I didn't screw up on scoring yours. Dang. All right, so now what you do is the busier pattern goes on the outside. So I'm using the wavy Painted Illusions. And it's going to fit inside of all those little score lines that we made. And then it's going to also bend this way and that way with them, since we cut and scored both the DSP and the cardstock. Okay. And it's so cool when you fold them back and forth that you see both patterns. And this has like really pretty patterns on the back too. You just gotta choose which side you're gonna use and get enough designer series paper that you can make things out of both pretty sides. Sometimes I gotta get 2 packs just so I can use both sides. All right, so you're gonna see 1 and 2, and then actually when we glue these on, gosh, hopefully I didn't screw up how I cut those. Oh, I know what I did. I cut it at 2 3/8 instead of, or I put that tick mark. Oh, brother. Brother. All right, this one is right. I really blew it. You know, it's only paper, right? I'm going to have to recut that one, and hopefully it doesn't look too botched up. But it looks like I cut that triangle at 2 3/8 instead of 3 3/8. All right, so where's that little piece? I got to recut this. That's what happens when I print my directions off and leave them downstairs in the printer and then start my live. Yep, it's 2 3/8, and it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 3 3/8. So I need to recut this one at the 3 3/8. Bandage it back together. If I had a whole bunch more of this DSP, I would just recut it, but I'm out. I do not have a spare piece. So now this one should fit better. Boop. Sorry for botching that on you and making it confusing. 3 3/8. I kept saying 2 3/8, and then I'm like, wait, that is not right. Okay. Now, we'll see how bad this looks. Might have to put some extra flowers and decorations to cover my screw up. Just do the best we can with what we have, since I messed it up. If I put it, you know, it matches. So if I put it as flush as I can, you shouldn't notice too badly. Erasing my pencil marks. Okay, I'm going to put a little dab of glue on here. Thank goodness I didn't cut the other side yet. I can only screw up on one side, right? You didn't screw up on yours the way I Hopefully I cut them and scored them correctly when I sent them to you. It's just when I get talking and I'm not concentrating, it's worse. All right, let's do this the right way this time. Bring in my trimmer again. I'll remake that tick mark at 3. Yeah, it's at 2 3/8. Whew, caught one of them anyway. All right, 3 1 2 3/8. Line it up from tip to tip, slice, line it up from tip to tip, all the way down to the bottom. Cut, and hopefully this one is a little more accurate. All right. So this was a lot of projects for one class. I'm sure you broke it down into a couple of sessions. And let me know how you like this month's projects. Maybe comment on what was your favorite, or what was something new that you learned. I do like to read through all the comments and learn about how I'm doing and what you like or don't like, what you'd like me to change, and what you'd like more of. And each month in the kits, I do include some kind of a little gift to thank you for signing up with me and doing the cards to go. I'm going to get my little gummy eraser out because it looks like my glue's leaking out here. And I know some of my participants do like to get together. You know, they'll order together with a friend, and then they wait till they have time to get together, and they make the cards together using the replay. That's a great way to do it. Nothing better than a little crafting community that you can... Oh, look, you're not going to see that little boo-boo from the outside. You don't see it till you open the card. So hopefully it won't be super noticeable. Well, and I always say people know that your card is handmade with love when it's not perfect. Gotta have a few little boops along the way, bloopers, right? To really know that it's real and we're all human and it's handmade. Look at that. This one I didn't screw up on. This one's fitting. So that kind of indicates to me that I didn't mess up. The ones that I sent you, hopefully. Although I did recreate my base. So hopefully. Oh, it turns out I didn't need to recreate my base. I just needed to cut this piece correctly. Okay, so that makes me feel a little better that hopefully I didn't totally mess yours up. Let me know if I did. I will resend it to you. Make it right. Whew. Hate when I mess up. All right, there we go. I just loved this paper with all its pretty colors. Oh my gosh, it's like the ocean, just all the colors of sunsets. And all right, so this creates our lapel slimline with that, like the collar. It's just a really cool look. And on Tammy's, she had used an ephemera pack that had some stickers for her greeting. And I really thought, since it kind of gets bulky with the cardstock and 1, 2, 3 layers, we have a white that's going to go in the middle. So we've got, like, you know, it's kind of adding up. I thought a belly band was a great way to hold this closed. So that little strip, that 1/2-inch strip that you cut off to make this card the right size, actually is perfect for a belly band. So if you notice, what I did there is I just put it behind the card and just folded it over. You don't want to pull it super tight, because you do, once we glue this together, you do want to be able to slide it on and off the card so that people can open the card. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little glue in the middle of that and hold that down for just a few seconds for that liquid glue to set. And then we are going to put together, actually I can use a glass block to do that, and then I'm going to pull in my little blooms, and you may have secret sea blooms, or you might have flirty flamingo blooms, or you might have another color, because I didn't mention that for at least one of them I used different patterned paper. So I tried to pick a bloom that was going to complement your designer series paper. So it might be blue, it might be pink, it might be yellow. And once again, I'm going to just use this other one just as a base to build my blossom. And then let's see if my belly band, yep, my belly band is holding, and I can move that on and off. And I am going to find that label. All right, so you can attach your flower to the belly band or to the corner of the label, whatever works for you. And we're going to stamp on this label. So I liked the Paradise Parade, must be on a block still, fluttering by to say hi. I want the one that says, here it is, I've got them all mounted up, wishing you a lovely day and you make the world a better place. And then I actually made my first one a Mother's Day card, because wishing you a lovely day for Mother's Day, right? And whose mom doesn't make the world a better place? They're how we started in the world, right? So I'm putting away my fluttering by to say hi stamp. So I can get, now I'm going to pull out, let's see, I'm going to pull out the Blueberry Bushel again. This one really has like Lost Lagoon and Misty Moonlight, maybe? Not sure it has Blueberry Bushel, but that's what I used in the sample one I created, and I like how it looks. So that'll work. You could use navy, you could use, and I'm stamping it to the right side of the label so that I can have room for that pretty little bloom. Pulling in my scrap paper again to clean that stamp off. Sometimes when it's really dark ink, I also just go run it under the faucet, and since it's water-based ink, it washes all the ink right off. But I'm not going to run away on you right now and wash it in the sink, right? All right. So wishing you a lovely day. I think we're gonna glue it on that side. And then we're gonna use a couple of dimensionals in the middle there to put it on our belly band. So I'm gonna put one right between so it holds that flower. I know there's a little glue on there, but it's like that extra security that it's gonna stay put. And I'm doing them all in the center because they need to. And notice I glued it in the front because nobody will ever see that seam because it's going to be covered by your label and your pretty. Oh no! It wasn't dry, and I put it on these shiny. Oh, fudge. Well, I can stamp that all over again and make another little belly band. Okay, my ink was still wet. Bummer. And then I put it on something shiny so I could line that up right. But you get the idea. I can redo that off screen. All right, and then we have these pretty little pearls. One can be the center of your blossom. And then I thought the other two looked kind of pretty on the lapel. So I just put them there. And then I'm going to stamp the inside. Now, trick with stamping the insert is stamp before you glue down. But I'm putting it like about where it'll be glued down, and I'm closing the card because you want to stamp. I stamped this one a little too high, and you can see part of the writing. So I want to stamp it a little bit lower so that where the card comes together is where it's stamped. And to grab my little Stampin' Chamois, Simply Chamois, and clean that ink off of here and here. Boy, because I don't want to get in anywhere else. Okay. Whew. Almost done. All right, so wishing you a lovely day. You make the world a better place. So I had that. Wishing you a lovely day. Here it is. Just had it. Just a moment ago. Just a moment ago. Okay. So I want to stamp that like right in here. You make the world a better place. See if I got it in the right spot. Perfect. All right, I'm going to close this so I don't have another mishap. And now I can, this one has plenty of room to write your mom a lovely note, or whoever you're sending this card to, whether it's a friend or whether it's for a birthday. It's kind of festive for a sympathy card. This probably wouldn't be the one that I'd turn into a sympathy card, but it makes a great Mother's Day, birthday, thinking of you friend card. Okay, that looks pretty good, and I'm not going to rub my fingers over that since I know that glue is nice and juicy. Didn't quite dry. Whoop. So yeah, I can redo that little label, restamp that, and get the smudges out. Ooh. All right, so then you just slide this over, and there you have a slimline lapel card. Isn't that fancy? That is a fancy fun fold. And if you want, now you can fold this either way, but the first one I made, I think I folded the left side in first and then the right side because I remember I had my little Happy Mother's Day down here. And I think I have that mounted up. This is also, it might be from the Itty Bitty Sayings. It was a double set that had all kinds of little, it used to fit in the word window. So this is a super retro retired stamp set, but it had a Happy Mother's Day that went beautifully with the font. And it fit in one of the 3 banner. Fits in either one of these. Oh, got that one crooked, so that one's going out. That one's going out. This is one that I would definitely take to the sink and just rinse off because that's a lot of ink. All right, so this, I would get the mini dimensionals out and turn that over. And if you do want it to be a Mother's Day card and you could find a small little Happy Mother's Day, you could just pop that down there. Isn't that sweet? Here's a different pattern. I used a different inside pattern, and so I used the blue and gold, and just looks slightly different. And with the floral papers, Blossom and what was that called? Floral Impressions. Can get some really, really pretty cards with that as well. But I thought those were pretty fancy. And again, stampwithtammy.com. You can probably look a ways back for the tutorial because it was a while ago that I printed that off. All right, our final project. Our final project tonight won't take long because I gave you just the basic skeleton for it and can share some ideas. So this is a loaded pocket card, and this is from Robin Ambrick at Really Robin Stamps. I gave her a shout out when I posted these loaded envelopes on my Instagram, and she said thanks for the shout out. Here's kind of what we're working towards. I made half a dozen of these for an event that I had a table at, and I bought these emery boards, and so I kind of chose the designer series paper based on what was going to go with that emery board. But they are a 12 by 12 piece of paper folded to create multiple pockets, and then you make the little fun things to fill it with. I put a greeting card in each one that matched the designer series paper. This is a paper that was from Celebration, before they stopped doing Celebration. And this one has a little bit different emery board. I ordered a couple different kinds. First time I ever ordered those online. And I just used decorations and labels and this one has like a little pink glimmer paper in it. I mean, I just picked a card that I had already made, and then I pulled everything together based on either the nail file. Like here, this one had a yellow giraffe or leopard pattern, and so then that's what I pulled in. The peach pie and like daffodil delight, darling duckling. And I used old punches, and these dies are on the last chance or already sold out, but you know, I just used stuff I had on hand. This is a super old card, but I thought it went nicely in here. This is from a long time ago, another celebration paper and another pretty butterfly. This paper had a lot of butterflies, so it had a punch, I think, that punched it out from the paper. And I still use this stamp set that had a little note, but you can see how I just picked the card and then built everything around the coloring. So what I'm going to do with you, those are some examples of the end product, is show you how you take one 12 by 12 piece of paper and you're going to score it at 3 1/4 inches from each side, all the way from the top to bottom. Okay, so that's what I did first, is I scored it at 3 1/4 and folded them towards the middle. They do overlap a little bit. And then you are going to turn your paper over and you're going to figure out if you're going to score it on the top side or the bottom side. What you want to do is, if it's directional, like these kind of look upside down, that's okay, because they're going to mostly be covered up, because I want the part that folds up to look right side up, because these are going to be folded back. So you're going to take and fold from this corner to the outside corner here. So you don't even measure this. You just fold it down to the outside corner. Okay, so you're going to make kind of like a little shirt collar again, and then this pocket folds up. Okay, and then I found it's kind of important to fold on the score lines, because again, this is going to get kind of multi-layered. And I found it was best to use tear and tape, because we are going to want to put adhesive from this fold line up here close to the outsides, because that's going to adhere this pocket down and allow you to stuff things in there. And then you can also stuff things in here. Okay, so I'm going to grab my tear and tape, and I am going to turn it sideways so you can see. And I'm just going to put a piece of tear and tape on that side and a piece of tear and tape on this side. So this is a great way to use up pretty designer series paper that you might have some full sheets left over. I'm just going to use a little bit. Oh, I got more tear and tape in the drawer here. Gotta reach for some more. This often comes in the paper pumpkins, and I just use the stuff I already have in my drawer. So until it's gone, they're short little rolls. So I'm just pulling out a little more. I need about another inch. All right, and then I do like to burnish that, like rub your bone folder on it so that you get all the air bubbles out. And your tear and tape is going to be super sticky, because you're going to really want this adhesive to stick. So again, take the bone folder and burnish that down. And then what that gives you is a nice little pocket with just minimum amount of adhesive. And you've got some here. And then what we do is, and I just ran out of time to do all the labels and decorations and stuff, but you certainly can see what you have at home. I know I'm kind of digging through my, I usually have some extra labels cut. And of course, I moved them all. I'm not finding them. Yep, I got big labels. Here's a really big one. But you just want to put something like in the middle there. And you can put something down here. You could put the bigger one down here and just do a little flower or a small label here. Could use this one, would be a good one that we used on the last couple cards. You can take some screenshots of some of these. Okay, and then what I did is I filled them with, like this one is a little note card, or pardon my crinkling. It's just a little sticky note holder. So it's just one piece of cardstock, scored, one of the skinny. I got a big stack of these that are like 25 sheets instead of 50. And I just put some ephemera and some gems on the front and the 3 banner punch. And so that's something that you could give them in here, but they could just throw in their purse for later. And then these are really cool, the little nail file folders. And then, like I said, I just did a small label, some little punches, just decorated up a little bit. So that's one example. This one has a sticky note holder in it also. This one got a little more decoration on the nail file holder. I pretty much used the same punches and label down here. You can see I used the retired double oval punch and a lot of the same stuff here. This one I think is a tea bag in there. This one has chocolates inside and a different punches, and I used a little retired blueberry ribbon to tie it closed. This one I used a little ribbon on the bone or the emery board holder, and this has chocolates. You could put, it's got little Girardelli bunnies in it, but you could put a Girardelli square in there. So yeah, just pop a card in there or a little notepad that you decorated, and boop. These are super fun. So again, Robin Ambrecht, loaded pocket envelope, and she was kind enough to give directions for all those little things you can put inside. This is the measurements for the nail file holder. It's a 6x6 piece of paper, DSP, and you score it at 1.5, 3, and 4.5, and then you put adhesive here, here, and here. So you're going to fold it on those score lines, and you're going to fold this up and this to the middle line, this to the first line, and this to the middle line. So she does have a video and she has lots of examples of little things. So you can see how I used newer papers and kind of adapted it to my own. She has a little notepad here that she put a cover on and it flipped up. And I made one that opened sideways so it doesn't hang over that pocket as well. But I chose to put a card in there and the nail file and a little matchbook note, sticky note holder in most of mine. So yeah, you can look for those directions on Willie Robbins Stamps. If you look her up on Instagram, I think it was Facebook or Instagram, and let me know, or post a picture if you finish yours and fill it with some other things. I have seen these filled for little get well envelopes, and had like tea and bandages and, you know, like things that people might need. Or you could do like a Mother's Day one with a face mask in here, gift card. The emery board would work great for that. Bath salts, like, you know, spa day type things. So you can use a theme and create whatever theme you want for the loaded pockets and just kind of take off with it. So lots of fun. All right, let's see. Oh boy. No, I can't even turn you around to see me because I won't be able to see what you're seeing, and that scares me. So thank you. Appreciate you tuning in and getting the cards to go for this month. All the fun folds. Next month, grab some of the ones that we did. Next month, I am going to be diving into all of those fabulous things that I was showing you from earlier today from my pre-order. The catalog goes live May 5th. There's lots of things on the last chance list, so make sure you check that. One of the first things I'll be working with is that new die. This is the product of the month for April, and I'm sure it's going to sell out. It is a whole sheet of metal for a whole card front in that intricate eyelet blooms. I've already gotten some tips from some people, although I haven't run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine myself yet. I am going to be using this, I think, with these adorable Cutest Crew. Now, if you don't have the stamps, I will design a card that's going to use the adorable little die cuts. So kitties, birds, and puppies. And this bundle has already sold out 3 times. So I will try to create and post some things soon so you can decide if that's something, if you don't have, if you want to invest in. And we got that beautiful silly old bear, Winnie the Pooh set. We've got the Waterside Retreat. We've got the new in colors. So much. I'm going to probably do another quick little video on those new stamp pads since this has gone way too long already. And yeah, so thanks again for joining me, and I hope you have fun making all the cards, and I hope you'll join me again soon. And if you're not on my newsletter, please direct message me. I will need your email, and I'll get you added ASAP so that you don't miss any of the invites for the Cards to Go kits, and I can keep you up to date on all the fun things happening at Stampin' Up. We are rocking and rolling and moving. So thank you. Have a great week and enjoy. Thanks so much. Kathy Schreckenthaler of Kathy's Creative Impressions, signing off for tonight. Bye-bye.